Hi there, my name's John, and I want to say something that's been on my mind for several weeks here, really since we started shutting things down in this country. And I want to share it because I think it's important that people refocus on what's happening primarily in Washington with the Congress and the Senate trying to infuse trillions of dollars back into this economy to get it back on track. And I think the focus to a certain extent is good to help those that need help, but it's gone way beyond that. Trillions of dollars is just something that we shouldn't be doing the way they're planning it. So here's my solution. I want to be quick and to the point, but I want to explain it. Put a pause for a month to start with. Review it in a month, see if it needs to be renewed. Put a pause on all rents, mortgages, credit card payments, auto loans, maybe utilities. And here's why. What is the primary focus of those that have been put out of work or out of business because of this shutdown, because of the coronavirus? What is their primary focus? Getting food on the table. Majority of Americans, I believe, have the ability to sustain a short, some a longer period of no income. However, there are many Americans who need assistance quickly and dramatically. So again, put a pause on rents, mortgages, credit card payments, auto loans, maybe utilities. Why? Their focus with the limited funds they have right now and whatever funds we as a country, the government, can supply them should be allocated to the necessities, which are what? Food, a roof over their head, food, utilities, maybe. The utilities, maybe a roof over their head. If we put a pause on the rents, the mortgages, credit card payments, auto loans, and maybe utilities for a short period of time, what does that do? It frees up their focus to what's immediately important, food, and the stress of having to make those payments right now. I understand across the board, it may be a radical idea. But if the renter can't pay their rent and the landlord doesn't get that money, but the mortgage is also paused, then the landlord doesn't have that stress to the same level that he otherwise would, whether you are commercial, business, or residential. The individual can't pay their rent because they don't have the money. They're focusing on food and the necessities. The landlord doesn't stress because he doesn't have to pay the mortgage. Maybe he gets a little bit of cash over and above what the mortgage is when that rent gets paid. I understand that. But the primary focus is the mortgage. If this is across the board, up and down, then everybody now has a stake in the recovery and getting us back to normal or going up positively from this. And I believe we will. So the stress that people have if they can't pay their rent or their mortgage or these other payments is that they will get hit with late fees, perhaps interest rate increases down the road because they missed a payment or two, and the negative credit reporting that generally goes along with that. If we put a pause up and down across the board on those types of payments with no late fees, no interest rate increases down the road, and no negative credit reporting, would that not release a lot of the stress that people focus on right now in trying to make those payments? And above and beyond that, the amount of money that the US government, Congress, and the Senate are trying to divvy out to everybody, what does it need to be for? Instead of trying to replace the entire income of the entire country for a period of time, whether it's a month or 2 months or whatever it might be, they can focus on the necessities, which is food. Now, how does it come out in dollars? How much does an individual need on a monthly basis for food? $1,000? I don't need $1,000 for food. I'd have to spend $30 a day for 30 days to spend $900. Now, I know I can buy a lot of food for $30. Okay, so I'm just putting a figure on it. If it was $1,000 per person, whether you were married or single or kids or whatever it was, if it was $1,000 per person, how much is that? Right now, they're talking trillions of dollars, 1.5, 2.5, whatever it might be. They're talking trillions of dollars of stimulus, recovery, whatever they want to call it. How many people in this country really need that money? And we are a great country, so a lot of us don't need that money. A lot of us honestly don't need that money. A lot of us will say, I don't need it because this is my country. I don't want our country having to pay that. Additionally, because it's just wrong. I don't need it. Somebody else can use it. Give it to them. Give them what they need, right? So let's say we have 350 million people in this country. How many of us really don't need that assistance? Is it 100 million? Is it 150 million that do not need that assistance? If 150 million people need that assistance, if 200 people need that assistance, how much does that add up to? If you paid $1 for every person that needed that assistance, 200 million people, let's just put a figure on it. How much is that? $200 million. If we gave them $10, how much is that? $2 billion. If we gave them $100 to 200 million people, how much is that? Let's get our math right. That's $20 billion. If we paid them $1,000 per person for 200 million people, that is $200 billion. $1,000 per person for 200 million people is $200 billion. I said billion. I didn't say trillion. Where are they getting these figures from? Well, we know, yes, they're trying to help out some of these companies that provide services that we enjoy every single day generally, that have now been heavily impacted by this. The airlines, the cruise industry, whatever, the hospitality industry, the hospitals. Let's focus on those. Some cases, a grant is appropriate. A hospital. Some cases, it's not. It's a loan, and it should be a loan. And there shouldn't be all these other riders attached to this bill that Congress and the Senate are putting into it. That's garbage. That's wrong. Focus on the needs, the bare necessities. If that's $200 billion, why are we talking $2 trillion? If it was double that, $400 billion, why are we talking $2 trillion? Let's focus on the necessities. Put a pause on all those things that are not necessities right now, across the board, up and down. It flows all the way through. Everybody has a stake in this solution. And it's not coming out of the government. It's not coming out of our pocket ultimately by adding trillions and trillions of dollars of debt to this country's already enormous debt. Simply put, simplify it. Focus on the necessities. What is that? Relieve the stress for everything else for a short period of time, if it's a month or 2 months. Thank you. Please spread the word. Get this out there. Thank you, and God bless you.